All right, let's pull back the curtain on something you've probably never heard of. It's one of the biggest secrets in high finance, a system for almost total, bulletproof anonymity. And it's hiding in plain sight right here in the US, in a state you would never, ever expect.
Yeah, Wyoming. Seriously, not Delaware, not Switzerland, not some sunny island in the Caribbean. We're talking about a state with more antelope than people. So you gotta ask, why on earth are the world's elite flocking there to set up their companies? Well, that's the whole reason we're here today.
And believe me, that is not an exaggeration. That one line pretty much sums it all up. What we're talking about here is a level of financial privacy that actually rivals, and in some ways even beats, the most notorious offshore havens on the planet. So let's get right into it. How exactly did the cowboy state become America's best-kept secret for the super rich? Well, the entire system is built around one incredibly powerful and really deceptively simple legal tool.
This right here, this is the whole shebang, the anonymous LLC. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. A company where the real owners, the people actually pulling the strings, are completely hidden from the public. But here's where Wyoming takes it to a whole other level.
Now, you're probably thinking this has to be some super complicated cloak and dagger process, right? Nope, it's actually shockingly easy. Let me just show you how it works. And that's it. That's the whole process. 3 steps. You hire a local company. They're called a registered agent. For a pretty small fee, their name and their address are what show up on all the paperwork. Your name? It's nowhere to be found. You are, for all intents and purposes, a ghost in the machine. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, especially when you compare it to Delaware, which is what everyone thinks of, right? Look, in both states, your ownership is private from the public. Great. But here is the absolute game changer. Delaware has to tell the IRS who the real owners are. Wyoming does not. That one little detail changes everything. I know exactly what you're thinking right now. A system that hides your name from the public and the IRS, it just sounds sketchy, doesn't it? It feels like it has to be some kind of illegal loophole. But here's the kicker. It's not a loophole. It's the law. Wyoming literally invented the LLC back in 1977. This wasn't an accident. They built the whole system from the ground up, on purpose, to do exactly this, protect privacy and assets. And it's been running, totally legally, for decades. So, okay, secrecy is great, but why really go through the trouble? Well, it all boils down to 2 huge, huge advantages that anyone with anything to protect cares about: money and security. Just look at that number, 0. Let that sink in. Let's say your Wyoming LLC makes $10 million doing business in California. You want to know how much state corporate tax Wyoming wants from that? 0. A big, fat nothing. Now, you still owe federal taxes, obviously, but the state itself doesn't take a dime. And this is the other pillar, a legal fortress. If somebody tries to sue you, the first thing their lawyer's going to do is try to find out what you own. In Wyoming, good luck with that. The courts are famous for protecting these LLCs, making it incredibly hard to do what's called piercing the corporate veil. That's the legal term for breaking through the company's firewall to get to your personal stuff. So we know it's private, we know it's powerful. But how does it really stack up against the classic offshore havens everyone talks about? Let's put them head to head. I mean, just look at the cost. It's almost funny. You can pay just $60 a year to keep your Wyoming LLC active. 60. Now compare that to a bare bones setup in the Cayman Islands. We're talking about 100 times more expensive. It's not even in the same ballpark. This table just lays it all out perfectly. With Wyoming, you get that hardcore offshore level anonymity, but for a tiny fraction of the price. And this is a big one, you get the stability and protection of the American legal system. It's really the best of both worlds, without ever having to leave the country. Now for the truly sophisticated players. This isn't just about one LLC. Oh no. This is about using these LLCs like Lego bricks to build something much, much bigger. This is where it gets really clever. They call it stacking. It's brilliant, really. You form an anonymous LLC to own another anonymous LLC, which in turn owns another one. You're creating layers like a Russian nesting doll of secrecy. So even if some investigator gets super determined and manages to peel back one layer, what do they find? Just another anonymous company. The trail just goes cold. And, it's important to realize that Wyoming, while it's kind of the king of anonymity, is part of a bigger puzzle. Different states have figured out their own little niche. Nevada's famous for having no franchise tax. People use New Mexico LLCs to own expensive cars anonymously. Each state has its own little secret weapon.
Which, of course, brings us back to the big question. Who are the people actually taking advantage of this incredible system? Who's behind the curtain?
Well, it's a pretty diverse group. You've got A-list celebrities like Kanye, you've got tech founders trying to keep their next big idea under wraps, and you've got tons of real estate investors who want to keep their properties separate and protected. Basically, it's for anyone who wants that offshore-style privacy without all the headaches of dealing with foreign banks and foreign laws.
And that leads us to our final and maybe the most important question of all. If this whole system is so powerful, so legal, and so easy to use, why haven't most of us ever even heard about it? And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? It's not a secret because it's illegal or sketchy. It's a secret because its power comes from the fact that so few people know it exists. It's an insider's tool. And the fewer people who are in on the secret, the better it works for those who are. Kind of makes you think?